Welcome to my channel Bookish English 2. Do you understand English but stay silent when it is time to speak? This video is made for you, not for others. If you watch till the end, you will discover how to break that silence and finally speak with confidence. Missing this means missing a real turning point in your life. Write in the comments, "I will speak today," and let's start this change together. Chapter 1. The Silence. There is a moment that almost every English learner knows, but very few people talk about it honestly. You are sitting with others, maybe in a class, maybe with friends, maybe watching a video or listening to someone speak English, and inside your mind, everything feels clear. You understand the words, you understand the meaning, and sometimes you even know what you want to say. But when it is your turn to speak, something strange happens. Your mouth stays closed, your heart beats a little faster, and your mind, which was so active just a second ago, suddenly becomes quiet. Not peaceful quiet, but a heavy silence that feels uncomfortable, like something is stopping you from becoming the person you want to be, and you sit there, listening, smiling, maybe nodding, but not speaking. And after that moment passes, you feel something deeper than just silence. You feel regret. You feel like you lost a chance. Like you had the words, but you could not bring them out. And this feeling repeats again and again until you start believing something very dangerous about yourself. That maybe you are not made for English. That maybe speaking is not for you. That maybe you will always stay quiet. But listen very carefully, because this is the truth that can change everything for you. That silence you feel is not your enemy, and it is not your weakness. It is your starting point. Every confident speaker you see today, every person who talks smoothly and naturally, every person who expresses ideas without fear, they all started from this exact place. They also had moments where they could not speak, where their voice felt stuck, where their thoughts were trapped inside their mind. The difference is not that they were special or more intelligent or more talented. The difference is that they did not stop at silence. They understood something important that most learners never realize, and that is this. Silence is not the end of your journey, it is the beginning of your voice. And when you understand this deeply, not just in your mind but in your heart, something starts to change inside you. Now let me speak directly to you, because this is not just a general message, this is about your life, your struggle, your daily experience. You have watched many videos, you have learned many words, you have tried to improve, and still when it comes to speaking, you feel stuck. You might compare yourself with others and think, why can they speak and I cannot? You might feel slow, you might feel behind, and sometimes you might even feel embarrassed, especially when someone asks you a simple question in English and you cannot answer quickly. That moment hurts, not because you do not know the answer, but because you know it inside, yet you cannot express it outside. This gap between knowing and speaking creates frustration, and slowly, it can reduce your confidence. But what if I tell you that this gap is normal? And not only normal, it is necessary. Because speaking is not just about knowledge, it is about training your brain, your mouth, and your confidence to work together. And that takes time, but more importantly, it takes the right understanding. Think about a child learning to speak their first language. That child does not start by speaking full sentences. The child listens, observes, makes sounds, makes mistakes, repeats again and again, and slowly builds the ability to speak. No one laughs at the child, no one expects perfection, and most importantly, the child does not feel fear. But you, as an English learner, are trying to do something very different. You want to speak perfectly from the beginning, you want to avoid mistakes, and you want to sound confident even before you practice enough. This pressure creates silence. It is not your lack of ability that stops you, it is your fear of not being perfect. And this is where most learners get trapped, because they think they need more knowledge before they speak, while the truth is, they need more speaking before they become confident. Let me give you a simple but powerful realization. Understanding English and speaking English are two different skills. You can understand a lot and still not speak well, and that does not mean you are weak. It means you have developed one skill and now it is time to build the second one. Imagine someone who watches swimming videos every day. They understand how swimming works, they know the movements, they know the techniques, but they have never entered the water. Will they be able to swim confidently? Of course not. Speaking English is like entering the water. At first it feels uncomfortable, you feel slow, You feel unsure, but that is exactly how learning begins. And once you accept this, your silence starts to feel different. It no longer feels like a wall, it starts to feel like a door. There is also something very important happening inside your mind during silence. You are thinking, you are forming ideas, you are preparing sentences, even if you are not speaking them. This means your brain is already working in English. This means you are already closer than you think. The problem is not that you have nothing to say, the problem is that you are not allowing yourself to say it. You are stopping yourself before you even try, and this habit becomes stronger every time you stay silent. But just imagine, what if you start breaking this silence slowly, not with big speeches, not with perfect grammar, but with small, simple words? What if instead of staying quiet, you say something, even if it is not perfect? That one small action can start changing everything, because confidence does not come before speaking, it comes after speaking. And here is something that you need to hear clearly. You are not alone in this journey. Thousands of learners feel exactly like you feel right now. They sit quietly, they think deeply, they want to speak, but something stops them. And the reason I am telling you this is not just to make you feel better, but to make you realize that this problem has a solution. You are not stuck forever. You are just at the beginning. And beginnings are always uncomfortable, but they are also powerful, because they hold the possibility of change. So today, instead of fighting your silence, I want you to understand it. Instead of judging yourself, I want you to accept where you are. Because the moment you stop saying I cannot speak, and start saying I am learning to speak, your journey changes direction. Your silence becomes a foundation, not a limitation. And once you build on this foundation, step by step, with the right approach, you will start hearing something new, your own voice in English. Chapter 2. The Fear. There is something invisible that controls more English learners than grammar, vocabulary, or even practice, and that thing is fear. You do not see it, you cannot touch it, but you feel it every time you try to speak. It appears quietly, but its effect is powerful. You are ready to say something, maybe a simple sentence, maybe just a few words, but suddenly your mind starts asking questions. What if I say it wrong? What if people laugh? What if my grammar is bad? What if I forget words? And in just a few seconds, these small questions grow into a big wall, and that wall stops your voice. You go from ready to speak to completely silent, not because you do not know English, but because you are afraid of how your English will sound. And the most dangerous part is this: the more you listen to this fear, the stronger it becomes, and the more you stay silent, the more it feels like speaking is something difficult and scary. Let me tell you something very honestly. This fear is not about English, it is about judgment. You are not afraid of speaking, you are afraid of being judged when you speak. You imagine people correcting you, laughing at you, or thinking that you are not good enough. And because of this imagination, you stop yourself before anyone else can even react. But here is the truth that most learners never understand. People are not thinking about you as much as you think they are. Everyone is busy with their own thoughts, their own problems, their own fears. And even if someone notices your mistake, it is not the end of the world. In fact, most people respect someone who tries to speak, because speaking in a new language takes courage, and courage always stands out more than perfection. Now think about this deeply. When a child learns to speak, they make hundreds of mistakes. They say wrong words, they mix sentences, they repeat sounds again and again, and still they keep speaking. No one stops them. No one says, wait until you are perfect, then speak. But you, as a learner, have created a rule in your mind that says, I will speak only when I am ready, only when I am correct, only when I am confident. And this rule feels logical, but it is actually the reason why you are stuck. Because confidence does not come from waiting, it comes from doing. If you wait to feel confident before speaking, you will wait for a very long time. But if you start speaking, even with fear, even with mistakes, confidence will slowly come to you. Let me make this even simpler for you. Imagine you want to learn how to ride a bicycle. You watch videos, you understand balance, you learn the theory, but when you actually sit on the bicycle, you feel scared. You think you might fall, you think you might look silly, and because of that fear, you do not move. Now tell me, will watching more videos remove your fear? No. The only way to reduce that fear is to start riding, slowly, carefully, maybe with mistakes, maybe with small falls, but with action. Speaking English works in exactly the same way. You cannot remove fear by thinking more, you remove fear by doing more. There is also another important truth that can completely change how you see mistakes. Mistakes are not proof that you are bad at English. Mistakes are proof that you are trying, and trying is the only way to improve. When you say a sentence like "I am go to market," it may not be perfect, but it still communicates your idea. The listener understands you. Communication happens, and that is the real purpose of language. Not perfection, but connection. Over time, with practice, your sentence will improve naturally. It will become "I am going to the market," but that improvement will come only if you allow yourself to speak the first version. If you keep waiting for the perfect sentence, you will never say even the simple one. Now let me speak directly to that voice inside your head, the one that stops you. That voice says, "You are not ready, you will make mistakes, people will judge you." But what if you change that voice? What if you start telling yourself something different? What if you say, "I am learning, I am improving, and it is okay to make mistakes"? This small change in your thinking can create a big change in your actions, because your mind listens to what you tell it again and again. If you keep telling yourself that you are weak, your mind will believe it. But if you start telling yourself that you are growing, your mind will start supporting you instead of stopping you. And here is something very powerful that you can start doing from today. Speak small, but speak daily. Do not try to say big sentences. Do not try to impress anyone. Just express yourself in the simplest way possible. Say what you feel, say what you see, say what you think. Even if your sentences are not perfect, they are still your voice, and your voice matters. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. The more you trust it, the more confident you feel. And slowly, that fear which once felt so big will start becoming smaller and smaller, until one day, you will realize that it is no longer controlling you. You are not weak because you feel fear. You are human. Every learner feels this. But strong learners do one thing differently. They act even when they feel afraid. They speak even when their voice shakes. They try even when they are not sure. And because of this, they grow. You can become one of them, not by removing fear completely, but by moving forward with it. Because fear does not disappear first, action comes first, and then fear starts to fade. So from this moment, I want you to make a simple decision. Do not wait to feel ready. Do not wait to feel perfect. Start speaking, even if it is just a few words. Because every word you speak is a step away from silence and a step toward confidence. And that journey, your journey, is already happening right now. Chapter 3. Tiny Start. There is a simple truth that most English learners ignore, and because they ignore it, they stay stuck for a long time. They believe that speaking English means speaking long sentences, using difficult words, and sounding perfect from the beginning. This belief creates pressure, and that pressure creates hesitation, and that hesitation brings them back to silence. But what if everything you believed about starting was wrong? What if the real beginning of speaking English is not big, not complex, not impressive, but very small, very simple, and very human? Because the truth is, confidence does not come from doing something big once, it comes from doing something small again and again until it feels natural. Let me show you something that can change how you see speaking forever. Imagine you want to build strength in your body. You do not go to the gym on the first day and lift the heaviest weight. If you try that, you will feel pain, you will feel failure, and you might even stop going completely. Instead, you start small. You lift a light weight, you repeat it, and slowly your body becomes stronger. Speaking English works in exactly the same way. You are trying to lift heavy sentences before your speaking muscles are ready, and that is why it feels difficult. But if you start with small sentences, simple words, and easy expressions, you begin to build your speaking strength in a natural and powerful way. Now listen carefully, because this is your turning point. You do not need long sentences to start speaking. You only need 3 to 5 words. That is enough. Yes, it sounds too simple, but simple is powerful. When you say something like, "I feel good today," or "I am learning English now," or "This is my book," you are doing something very important. You are training your brain and your mouth to work together. You are breaking the habit of silence. You are creating movement, and movement is the beginning of confidence. At first, these sentences may feel small, maybe even too easy, but they are not small for your progress. They are the foundation of your fluency. And here is something beautiful about starting small. It removes fear. When you try to say a long sentence, your mind becomes busy, your thoughts become slow, and your fear becomes strong. But when you say a short sentence, your mind feels relaxed, your voice comes out faster, and your confidence starts to grow. You feel a small success, and that success gives you energy to continue. This is how real progress happens, not through pressure, but through small wins that build your belief step by step. Now I want you to imagine your day, not as a normal day, but as a chance to speak English in the simplest way possible. When you wake up, you can say, "I wake up now." When you look outside, you can say, "The weather is nice," or "It is very hot today." When you eat, you can say, "I am eating food," or "This food is tasty." These are not big sentences, but they are real sentences. They are connected to your life, and because they are connected to your life, they stay in your mind longer. You are not just learning English, you are living English in your own way. And you might be thinking, is this enough? Can these small sentences really help me become fluent? The answer is yes. Because fluency is not built from big sentences, it is built from thousands of small sentences repeated again and again. When you repeat simple structures, your brain starts recognizing patterns. You begin to understand how English works without even trying too hard. And slowly, without pressure, your sentences start becoming longer. You move from "I eat food" to "I am eating food with my family," and then to "I am eating food with my family because we are celebrating today." But this growth happens naturally, not by force, not by stress, but by starting small and staying consistent. There is also something very important happening inside you when you take these tiny steps. You start changing your identity. Before, you saw yourself as someone who cannot speak, someone who is always quiet, someone who is still learning. But now, with every small sentence you speak, you start seeing yourself differently. You start thinking, "I am someone who speaks English, even if it is simple, even if it is not perfect." And this change in identity is more powerful than any grammar rule, because when you believe you are a speaker, you act like a speaker. And when you act like a speaker, you become one. Let me also tell you something very honest. Many learners fail not because they are not capable, but because they make their starting point too big. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect knowledge, the perfect confidence, and because of that, they never begin. But you are not going to make that mistake. You are going to start today, not with something difficult, but with something simple and real. You are going to speak small sentences, and you are going to repeat them daily. You are going to allow yourself to grow slowly, because slow growth is still growth, and consistent growth always wins. And even if your voice feels weak at first, even if your sentences feel basic, remember this. Every expert was once a beginner who did not stop. Every fluent speaker once said simple sentences just like you are going to say. The difference is not in talent, it is in action. They started small, they continued daily, and they trusted the process. And now, it is your turn to do the same. So do not underestimate the power of tiny starts. Do not wait for big confidence. Create small confidence every day. Speak a little, repeat a little, grow a little. Because when you look back after some time, you will not see small steps, you will see a big transformation that started with one simple sentence. Chapter 4. Daily Voice. There is one powerful truth that separates people who improve from people who stay stuck. And it is not talent, not intelligence, and not even how much they study. It is something much simpler, and at the same time, much stronger. It is what they do every single day. Not once a week, not when they feel motivated, not when they have extra time, but every day, even in small moments. Because real change does not come from one big effort, it comes from small actions repeated again and again until they become part of your life. And when it comes to speaking English, this daily action has a name. It is your daily voice. Now think about your current routine. You wake up, you check your phone, you go through your day, you do your work, you talk in your native language, and somewhere in between, you try to learn English. Maybe you watch a video, maybe you read something, maybe you listen for a few minutes. But speaking, real speaking, often stays missing. It feels like something extra, something separate, something you will do later when you feel ready. And because of this, speaking never becomes natural. It remains a task, not a habit. But what if you change this completely? What if English speaking is not something you do sometimes, but something you live every day in small, simple ways? This is where your daily voice begins. It does not require a special place, it does not require a partner, and it does not require a lot of time. It only requires one decision, and that decision is this. I will use my voice in English every day, no matter how small it feels. And once you make this decision, everything around you becomes an opportunity. Your room becomes your classroom, your routine becomes your practice, and your thoughts become your sentences. When you wake up in the morning, instead of staying silent, you can say, I wake up now, I feel sleepy. Today is a new day. These are simple sentences, but they are powerful because they start your day with English. Your brain begins to activate, your voice begins to move, and slowly, you feel more connected to the language. When you go to the bathroom, you can say, I wash my face. The water is cold. I feel fresh. When you look at your clothes, you can say, I like this shirt. This color is nice. You are not doing anything extra. You are simply adding English to what you are already doing. And this is the beauty of daily voice. It removes pressure. You do not have to create new situations. You do not have to find special topics. You only need to describe your life as it is, and because it is your life, you always have something to say. You are never empty. You are never out of ideas. Your environment gives you everything you need. The chair, the table, the food, the people, the weather, everything becomes part of your learning. And slowly, without stress, English starts becoming natural. Now there is something very important that you must understand here. It is not about speaking perfectly. It is about speaking consistently. You might make mistakes. You might forget words. You might repeat the same sentences again and again. And that is completely fine. Because repetition is not boring. Repetition is training. Every time you repeat a sentence, your brain becomes faster, your mouth becomes smoother, and your confidence becomes stronger. You are not just saying words, you are building a system inside yourself. And let me tell you something that most learners ignore. You do not need hours of practice to improve. You need minutes of focused speaking. Even 5 to 10 minutes of daily voice can create a big change if you do it regularly. But these minutes must be real. Not thinking about speaking, not planning to speak, but actually speaking. Your voice must come out. Your ears must hear your own English. Because when you hear yourself, you start believing in yourself. You start realizing that yes, I can speak, maybe not perfectly, but clearly enough to express my thoughts. There is also a hidden benefit of daily voice that you will start noticing after a few days. Your thinking begins to change. At first, you are forcing yourself to speak, but slowly, your mind starts forming sentences automatically. You see something, and an English sentence comes to your mind. You feel something, and you think in English. This is a very powerful moment, because now English is not just something you study, it is something you experience. And when you reach this stage, your progress becomes faster and more natural. But let me be honest with you, there will be days when you do not feel like speaking. There will be days when you feel tired, when you feel lazy, when you feel like skipping. And this is where most learners stop. Not because they cannot do it, but because they break their consistency. But you are not going to do that. Even on those days, you will speak a little. Even 1 minute is enough. Because the goal is not to be perfect every day, the goal is to not stop. When you continue, even in small ways, you keep your momentum alive, and momentum is what creates long-term success. You are not trying to become fluent in one day. You are building a habit that will make you fluent over time. And habits are not built with big actions. They are built with small actions done daily. So every time you speak, even if it feels simple, remind yourself that you are becoming stronger. You are becoming more confident. You are becoming someone who uses English, not someone who only learns it. And slowly, something beautiful starts to happen. Your fear reduces. Your hesitation becomes smaller, and your voice becomes clearer. You start feeling comfortable with your own English. You stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You create your own moments. And this is when speaking stops feeling like a challenge and starts feeling like a part of you. So from today, do not think of English as a subject. Think of it as your daily voice. Use it in your routine, use it in your thoughts, use it in your life. Keep it simple, keep it consistent, and keep it real. Because the more you use your voice, the more it grows. And the more it grows, the closer you get to the confident speaker you want to become. Chapter 5. Mind Shift. There is a silent habit inside your mind that is slowing you down more than anything else, and most learners do not even realize it. You hear English, you understand it, and then when you try to speak, your brain quickly moves to your native language, builds the sentence there, and then tries to convert it into English. This process feels normal because you have been doing it for a long time, but it creates a delay, and that delay creates hesitation, and that hesitation brings back the fear you have been trying to overcome. You are not slow because you are weak. You are slow because your brain is working in two languages at the same time, and that extra step is making everything harder than it needs to be. Now imagine something different. Imagine you see a cup in front of you, and instead of thinking in your native language and then translating, your mind directly says in English, "This is a cup." No delay, no confusion, no extra step. It feels simple, it feels fast, and most importantly, it feels natural. This is what thinking in English means. It is not about knowing big vocabulary or difficult grammar. It is about removing the middle step and allowing your thoughts to form directly in English, even if they are small, even if they are simple, even if they are not perfect. Let me explain why this shift is so powerful. When you translate, your brain is busy searching for correct words, checking grammar, and trying to avoid mistakes. This makes your thinking heavy, and when thinking becomes heavy, speaking becomes slow. But when you think directly in English, your brain becomes lighter. It does not worry too much about perfection. It focuses on expression, and expression is the heart of communication. You are not speaking to show perfect grammar. You are speaking to share your thoughts, your feelings, your ideas. And when your focus changes from perfection to expression, your confidence starts to grow naturally. Now you might be thinking, how can I stop translating when it feels automatic? The answer is not to fight translation, but to replace it slowly. You do not need to change everything in one day. You only need to start with small moments. When you look at something, name it in English. When you feel something, express it in English. When you do something, describe it in English. For example, if you are walking, you can think, I am walking on the road. If you feel tired, you can think, I feel tired now. If you are drinking water, you can think, I am drinking water. These are simple thoughts, but they are direct. They do not go through your native language. They come straight in English, and that is exactly what you need. At first, it may feel a little strange. Your mind may try to go back to translation because it is used to that habit. But every time you gently bring it back to English, you are training it. You are teaching your brain a new way of thinking. And just like any habit, it becomes easier with repetition. The more you practice, the more natural it feels, and slowly, without forcing, your mind starts choosing English automatically in simple situations. There is also something very important you need to understand here. Thinking in English does not mean thinking in perfect English. Many learners make this mistake. They try to think in long, complex, and correct sentences, and when they cannot do it, they feel frustrated and go back to translation. But you do not need that. You only need simple, clear thoughts. Even if your sentence is basic, it is still powerful because it is direct. I am happy, I feel hungry, this is good. These are not big sentences, but they are real English thoughts. And real thoughts create real speaking ability. Let me give you a small mental exercise that can help you a lot. Close your eyes for a moment and think about your room. Do not translate. Just look around in your mind and say simple English sentences. This is my bed. The door is closed. The fan is on. You are not speaking out loud, but your brain is working in English. This is practice. This is progress. And the more you do this, the faster your thinking becomes. And the faster your thinking becomes, the easier your speaking becomes. Another powerful change happens when you stop translating. Your confidence starts to feel real. Because now, when someone asks you a question, you do not go into your native language first. Your mind stays in English. Even if your answer is short, even if it is not perfect, it comes out faster. And that speed gives you confidence. You feel in control. You feel present. You feel like you are part of the conversation, not someone standing outside it. Now let me speak to you honestly again. This shift will not happen in one day. You will still translate sometimes, you will still feel slow in some moments, but that does not mean you are failing. It means you are learning. Every time you choose to think in English, even for a few seconds, you are moving forward. You are building a new habit, and habits take time, but they always reward you if you stay consistent. And here is the most beautiful part of this journey. When you start thinking in English, you start living in English. It becomes part of your daily experience. It becomes part of how you see the world. And when English becomes part of your life, not just your study, fluency stops feeling far. It starts feeling close, real, and possible. So from today, do not try to translate everything perfectly. Instead, allow yourself to think simply, directly, and naturally in English. Start with small thoughts. Stay consistent. Be patient with yourself. Because this one change, this one shift in your thinking, can open the door to everything you have been trying to achieve. Chapter 6. Real Practice. There comes a point in your journey where understanding, thinking, and preparing are no longer enough, because the real change begins when you step into action and start using your English in real ways. Not perfect ways, not planned ways, but real, human, everyday ways. And this is where many learners stop again, not because they do not want to improve, but because they believe they need a partner, a teacher, or a perfect environment to practice speaking. They think, I will speak when I find someone, or I will practice when I join a class. And because of this belief, they keep waiting, and waiting slowly turns into delay, and delay slowly turns into no action. But what if you realize something powerful today, that you do not need anyone to start real practice? You already have everything you need. You have your voice, your thoughts, your environment, and your imagination. And when you use these things in the right way, you can create powerful speaking practice anytime, anywhere. Let me take you into a simple but life-changing idea. Real practice does not mean speaking with others only. Real practice means using English to express your thoughts actively. It means your voice is involved, your mind is engaged, and your sentences are coming out, not staying inside. And you can do this even when you are alone. In fact, practicing alone can be one of the strongest ways to build confidence, because there is no judgment, no pressure, and no fear. You are free to make mistakes. You are free to repeat. And you are free to grow at your own pace. This freedom is not weakness. It is your training ground. Now imagine you are standing in front of a mirror. At first, it may feel strange. You look at yourself, and you are not sure what to say. But then you start with something simple. Hello. How are you? I am fine. Today I feel good. You speak slowly. You watch your face. You hear your voice. And something begins to change. You are not just thinking anymore. You are speaking. You are seeing yourself as a speaker. And this small moment creates a powerful shift in your identity. Because when you see yourself speaking, even in a mirror, your brain starts accepting that you can do it. You are no longer someone who only understands English. You are someone who uses English. And you do not need to stop there. You can create small conversations with yourself. Ask a question and answer it. What did I do today? I woke up early. I ate breakfast. I studied English. These are simple sentences, but they are real communication. You are practicing how to respond, how to connect ideas, how to keep speaking without stopping. And the more you do this, the more comfortable you become. Your hesitation becomes smaller, your flow becomes smoother, and your confidence starts growing quietly, but strongly. There is another powerful tool that many learners ignore, and that is your phone. You can record your voice. At first, it may feel uncomfortable to listen to yourself. You may notice your mistakes, your pauses, your pronunciation. But instead of feeling bad, use this as your advantage. When you listen to your voice, you become aware. You start understanding where you can improve. And the next time you speak, you try again, a little better, a little clearer. This process of speaking, listening, and improving creates a cycle, and that cycle builds your fluency step by step. Now let me show you something even more interesting. Your imagination can become your best speaking partner. You can create situations in your mind and speak as if they are real. Imagine you are in a shop. You can say, "Hello, I want to buy this. How much is this?" Then imagine the answer and respond again. Imagine you are meeting a friend. "Hi, how are you? What are you doing today?" You create the question and you create the answer. This may feel like a small activity, but it is actually very powerful because you are training your brain to respond in English without fear. You are preparing yourself for real situations, and when those situations come, you feel more ready, more confident, and more natural. And here is something very important you must remember. Real practice is not about long time. It is about real involvement. Even 10 minutes of active speaking is more powerful than 1 hour of passive watching. When you speak, your brain works differently. It becomes active. It connects ideas. It searches for words. And it creates sentences. This is the kind of training that builds real ability. So do not wait for long sessions. Use small moments. Speak for a few minutes, but speak with focus. Speak with intention, and speak with honesty. You may still feel some fear, and that is okay. You may still make mistakes, and that is also okay. Because now, you are not avoiding speaking. You are facing it. You are using it. You are improving through it. And every time you practice, you are moving forward, even if the progress feels slow. Slow progress is still progress, and consistent progress always wins. 4. Let me tell you something very clearly. You are closer than you think. You have already built understanding. You have already started thinking. You have already begun speaking in small ways. Now you are adding real practice, and this is where your transformation becomes visible. Your sentences will become smoother. Your reactions will become faster. Your confidence will become stronger. Not because you waited, but because you acted. So do not wait for the perfect partner. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Create your own practice. Use your mirror, your voice, your phone, your imagination. Speak daily, speak simply, and speak honestly. Because the more real your practice becomes, the more real your confidence becomes. And the more real your confidence becomes, the closer you get to speaking freely without fear. Chapter 7. Breakthrough. There is a moment in every learner's journey that does not look big from the outside, but inside, it changes everything. It is not a moment where you suddenly speak perfect English. It is not a moment where you know every word or every rule. It is something much simpler, and at the same time, much more powerful. It is the moment when you speak, and you do not stop yourself. It is the moment when fear is still there, but it no longer controls you. It is the moment when your voice comes out, not perfectly, not smoothly, but honestly. And that moment, even if it is small, is your breakthrough. At first, you may not even notice it. You might say a simple sentence without thinking too much. You might answer a question a little faster than before. You might express a thought without translating every word. And after that, you pause and realize something has changed. You did not stay silent. You did not wait too long. You spoke. And that realization creates a feeling that is very different from anything you felt before. It is not just happiness, it is belief. A quiet but strong belief that says, maybe I can do this. This is how breakthroughs really happen. They do not come as big, dramatic changes. They come as small, real moments where you act differently than before. Before, you stayed silent. Now, you try. Before, you waited. Now, you respond. Before, you feared mistakes. Now, you accept them and move forward. And these small changes start building something inside you that is stronger than fear. They start building confidence, not the loud kind, not the perfect kind, but the real kind, the kind that grows from action. Now let me tell you something that many learners misunderstand. They think confidence is something you must have before you speak. They think confident people are different, that they feel ready, that they have no fear. But the truth is the opposite. Confidence is not the beginning. Confidence is the result. It comes after you speak, after you try, after you make mistakes and continue anyway. Every time you speak, you send a message to your mind that says, I can do this. And your mind listens. It starts trusting you. It starts supporting you. And slowly, that support turns into confidence. There is also a powerful emotional shift happening during this stage. Earlier, your focus was on what can go wrong. You were thinking about mistakes, judgment, and failure. But now, your focus starts changing. You begin to think about expression, about connection, about sharing your ideas. You stop asking, what if I am wrong? And you start asking, what do I want to say? And this small change in focus removes a lot of pressure. Because now, you are not trying to be perfect. You are trying to be real. You may still feel nervous sometimes. Your voice may still shake. You may still forget words. But now, these things do not stop you completely. You continue speaking. You find another way to say your idea. You use simple words. You pause, and then you try again. And every time you do this, you become stronger. Not because your English is perfect, but because your mindset is changing. You are no longer controlled by fear. You are guided by action. Let me bring you back to something very important. Your progress is not measured by how perfect your sentences are. Your progress is measured by how often you speak. If you speak more today than yesterday, you are improving. If you try again after a mistake, you are growing. If you express your thoughts, even in simple words, you are moving forward. And when you start measuring your progress in this way, you stop feeling stuck. You start seeing your journey clearly, and there is something beautiful about this stage. Other people may start noticing small changes in you. They may see that you are trying more. They may hear you speak more often. They may even encourage you. But the most important change is not outside. It is inside you. You start noticing yourself differently. You start respecting your effort. You start trusting your voice. And this self-trust is the foundation of long-term confidence. Now I want you to imagine your future, not as something far away, but as something you are building right now. Every small sentence you speak is shaping that future. Every moment you choose to express instead of staying silent is moving you closer to the person you want to become. And that person is not someone perfect. That person is someone confident, someone active, someone who uses English freely, without fear controlling them. So do not wait for a big moment to feel proud. Your breakthrough is already happening in small ways. It is in your effort. It is in your courage. It is in your decision to keep going, even when it feels uncomfortable. And when you look back after some time, you will not see one big change. You will see many small moments that together created a powerful transformation. You are no longer the person who only understands. You are becoming the person who speaks. And this change, this shift, is not temporary. It is growing stronger with every step you take. So keep speaking, keep trying, keep moving forward, because your voice is no longer hidden. It is coming out, slowly but surely, and nothing can stop it now except you, and you are not going to stop. Chapter 8. New Identity. There is a moment in every journey where you stop asking, "Can I do this?" and you start saying, "This is who I am." It does not come with noise, and it does not come with perfection, but it comes with a quiet certainty that feels stronger than fear. You may not even notice the exact day it happens, because it grows slowly, through your daily effort, your small sentences, your repeated practice, your courage to speak even when you are not ready. And then one day, you realize something simple but powerful. You are no longer just learning English. You are living it. You are no longer just watching others speak. You are speaking too. And this realization is not just a skill change, it is an identity change. For a long time, you saw yourself in a certain way. You saw yourself as someone who struggles, someone who hesitates, someone who understands but cannot express. And this image stayed in your mind, and it controlled your actions. Because what you believe about yourself shapes what you do. If you believe you are not a speaker, you will stay silent. If you believe you are weak in English, you will avoid speaking. But now, something inside you has started to shift. Not because someone told you, but because you experienced it. You spoke, you tried, you continued, and through these actions, you created a new version of yourself. A version that is not perfect, but is real, active, and growing. This new identity is not about speaking fast or using difficult words. It is about something much deeper. It is about believing that your voice matters. It is about trusting that you can express your thoughts, even in simple ways. It is about showing up every day, even when you feel unsure, and still choosing to speak. Because identity is not built by one big moment. It is built by repeated actions that prove something to yourself again and again. Every time you speak, you are telling your mind, "I am a speaker," and your mind listens. It starts accepting this truth. It starts supporting this version of you. Now there is something very important you need to understand, because many learners lose their progress at this stage. They think that once they feel a little confident, the journey is complete. They relax too much, they stop practicing, and slowly, the old habits come back. Silence returns, hesitation grows, and confidence starts to fade. But you are not going to let that happen, because you now understand that confidence is not something you get once and keep forever. It is something you build and protect through daily action. Just like your body needs daily movement to stay strong, your speaking needs daily use to stay alive. Think about your daily voice again. It is no longer just practice. It is part of who you are. When you wake up and speak, when you describe your day, when you think in English, when you express your ideas, you are not doing something extra. You are simply being yourself in a new way. And this is the most powerful stage of your journey, because now English is not outside you, it is inside you. It is connected to your thoughts, your feelings, your daily life. And when a language becomes part of your life, fluency is no longer a dream. It becomes a natural result. Let me also tell you something very honest and important. You will still make mistakes. Even at this stage, you will say wrong sentences sometimes. You will forget words. You will feel slow in some moments. But now, these things will not break you, because your identity is no longer based on perfection. It is based on progress. You are not trying to be perfect. You are committed to improving. And this mindset protects you from fear, from doubt, and from stopping. There is also a beautiful confidence that starts growing inside you now. Not loud, not showy, but calm and real. You start speaking without overthinking every word. You start listening and responding more naturally. You start enjoying the process instead of feeling pressure. And when you enjoy something, you do it more. And when you do it more, you improve faster. This is the cycle you have created for yourself, a cycle of growth, confidence, and action. Now I want you to look at yourself, not as who you were, but as who you are becoming. You are someone who did not give up. You are someone who faced fear and still spoke. You are someone who started small and continued daily. You are someone who turned silence into voice. And that is not a small achievement. That is a transformation. And this transformation is not limited to English. When you learn to express yourself in a new language, you also learn to express yourself in life. You become more open, more confident, more willing to share your ideas. You stop hiding, and you start showing up. And this change can affect every part of your life, your studies, your work, your relationships, your future. So from this moment, I want you to carry this identity with pride, not as someone who is perfect, but as someone who is growing. Keep speaking daily. Keep thinking in English. Keep practicing in real ways. Because this journey does not end here. It continues, and with every step, you become stronger. And remember this one simple truth. You were never truly silent. Your voice was always inside you. You just needed the courage to bring it out. And now that you have started, do not stop. Keep going, keep growing, and keep becoming the confident English speaker you were always meant to be. You started this video with silence, but now you have a voice, and it is growing stronger with every step you take. Do not stop here, because this moment can change your future if you keep going. Subscribe now, and stay connected for your daily growth in English. Thanks for watching. I will see you soon in the next video.